Welcome to Empowered Kids TV Village Talk. I am so excited to have you here. You're here because you know that every family has the potential to be great, and you're willing to push the boundaries of your mindset so that you can create the family of your dreams. Today, we welcome back one of our amazing coaches. Welcome back to Carole. It's so lovely to have you back, Carole.
Thanks. It's so good to be here. Oh, it's a pleasure.
And I'm going to say to everyone, if you haven't seen our previous episodes with Carole, be sure to check them out. I'll leave the links to them down below in the description. And for those of you that are new, let me introduce you. Carole is a certified parenting coach who is committed to supporting parents in bringing alive a sense of joy and deep connection with her parenting. With her background in both nursing and psychology, she combines her professional and personal experience to assist clients in navigating challenges by embracing the process of growth and transformation. She is also a certified life reentry practitioner and specializes in working with parents who have lost a spouse or are transitioning to single parenting after divorce. She loves working with parents and believes that everyone has the capacity to experience the quality of balance, peace, and playfulness. I absolutely love the playfulness in their parenting. So dive deeper into Carole's work. You can find Carole at cmdowning.com. Carole, I'm so excited to have you back in the village.
Thank you. As always, it's wonderful to be here.
This question today comes from Christine. And Christine writes, my son and his partner split 18 months ago. And my 6-year grandson, I believe, is struggling with this. He spends a lot of time with his dad, but his behavior is terrible. He shouts and yells at his dad, calling him names, and recently started kicking and hitting both his dad and his 3-year-old brother. His dad is at his wit's end. He's put him in his bedroom to calm down, but he doesn't seem to have any effect. He talks to him and shows him loads of love and attention, but nothing seems to work. When he comes to stay with me, the child is an angel. He is helpful, loving, and will also play with his brother. It is so upsetting for me to see both my son and my grandson struggling to find a happy relationship, as this constant battling is really wearing them down. Any help or advice would really be appreciated. That's really tough for Gran to look on.
So hard, yeah. I mean, and I really just want to start out by acknowledging the space that Christine is creating for her grandson. That it feels, in my mind, what comes forward is like it's a calm in the storm for him. It's something that's steady. It sounds like he's had the love. He and his little brother have had the love of their grandmother from day one, and so them being able to just relax and play in that environment after such an upheaval. Really speaks a lot to her relationship with her grandkids.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Where would we go here first?
Where would we go here first? Well, I think the very first place to go, just to kind of get a sense for her, is to understand that parenting is challenging, and we can all be really defensive when our parenting is noted, or when something's challenging with our child. The immediate thought is that we're being judged. And so the first thing I would want to address before we kind of start on some tips for happening with the child is her relationship with her son, and how can she reach out in a way that is, again, getting a sense of how is he doing. And they may already have had this conversation, and he may be asking for advice. But if he's not, just really creating a comforting and supportive place to begin to help him, so that he's not feeling judged. Because anytime our children are acting in ways that they haven't before, or are new, or that we're having a challenge with, it can be hard to be seen in that. So.
And sometimes we judge ourselves so harshly, and thinking what this person might be thinking about me, and that person might be thinking about me, and that really adds to the stress. So to just know you have a safe space where you're not being judged, which is what we try to create in our village, a safe space, but to know that he has that safe space is going to be so invaluable for him, and really allow him to find a place where he can just kind of release and find that calm to then try again.
Right. Yeah. So that he has that space. And then for her, some suggestions that she might work with him on. The first thing that I noticed was that it sounds like he already gives his son lots of love and attention, that there is connection there, but that when he gets angry, when he's lashing out, that putting him in his room, like kind of separating him, while it takes away any, danger to the younger child if he's hitting or kicking, it can create so much isolation for that child to be put away, and to acknowledge that he's having these big feelings, and we don't want him to feel like he's wrong to have these big feelings, like he has to go somewhere else to have them. But it's a matter of how can we as a parent make room for anger and frustration and the disruption, I'm sure, in his routines, and be present with him in those big feelings. And give us an idea of what's underneath them, because until we can be present and let those emotions run through with us, connected with them, it's hard to find out what's really happening.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think for so many families that go through divorce, as adults, we have to take the opportunity to process our feelings. But for kids, we almost feel, well, nothing's changed for you. You still got your mom, you still got your dad. So let's just carry on. And we don't really give them an opportunity to do the same level of processing that we take as adults. And sometimes our processing, it doesn't look pretty. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't, right? We've got to be really honest about that. Sometimes you've got the angry, you've got the frustration, you've got the ugly cry, you've got it all. And I think we forget that we need to create that same safe space for our kids. It's a very tough transition for them as well, because everything about their world and their sense of identity is now changed. And sometimes just bringing that level of presence to say, look, I know this is big and this is hard, and I understand, and it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to feel that way.
Yeah. And so I love what you're saying, that, of acknowledging that it's hard and helping him name his feelings, because, the research shows too that as soon as we name our feelings, we begin to move away from the reactive brain into the brain that can begin to integrate and shift behavior. And so just being in a place of noticing, of reflecting, of talking with him about what he's feeling in that moment when the feelings are coming up, so that he can be acknowledged for those, and then caring for him with a lot of empathy, because when we're, sometimes just stepping into that place of, if I was feeling really angry or frustrated, or my routine had been completely disrupted, just saying how we might want to be heard. What would we want acknowledged for ourselves? And for the dad, honestly, there may be some of that needs to happen inside of him too. Acknowledgement for all that he must be going through. Right?
And I think sometimes that needs to happen first before we can hold that space for our kids. Because their upset just seems to trigger what we have that we're still dealing with, that we haven't kind of released. And that makes it very difficult for us to hold space so that our kids can release in a safe space. So we really do need to do that processing first, so that we can then be the level of support that they need from us.
Right. Yeah. And you bring up such a good point that, when it does can trigger our own upset. And so, of course, we would love to all be the kind of parent that could see our child in upset and move right in to acknowledge and caring for them. But you're so right that it has to happen with us first. And sometimes that does mean we take a step back, or, okay, let's kind of separate the kids right now, make sure that the 3-year-old has something that they're engaged in. So then we can take a step back, a deep breath, and then go into the room with the 6-year-old, be with him, even if it is in a separate space, to be with him as he begins to feel some of those bigger feelings that are happening.
I love it. So, we're all about action. So I'm going to try to do a bit of a recap for Christine. The first thing is, Christine, we really wanted to acknowledge you, because clearly you've created a safe space for your grandsons where they can come and feel like they're in a calm, happy, safe space and just fall back into being themselves, happy, loving little boys that you know. And then to really acknowledge that it might be time to have a conversation with her son, to make sure he knows there's no judgment, that this space is safe for him, that this is a space where he can come to get support and some comfort. And then really to try to isolate the feelings that the 6-year-old is having. Give him an opportunity to open up, to feel that it's safe to share those big scary feelings that are all bubbling up inside of him, and to let him know that it's okay. And then for the dad to take time to go within himself and try to recognize his own feelings, try to recognize if he's being triggered when his son is triggered, so that he can deal with that first, so that he's better able to maintain that presence. And then sit with his son with greater empathy and just let him know it's okay. It's tough and it feels awful, but eventually it will all be okay. Is there anything else you think we can add for Christine?
So, I think the only other thing would be to maybe talk with her son about noticing, is this happening during a certain time of day? Is there a certain routine that the child is missing?
Yes.
So just, again, as a parent, always getting curious about when is this happening? It can be as basic as like, are they actually missing their afternoon snack every day? Like getting a sense of what else might be happening so that he can get curious. But again, that self-empathy is so important, even to put us in the space of being able to be curious and to be with our kids through hard times.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much again, Carole, for dropping by to the village and helping us answer Christine's question.
Thank you.
And I just want to remind everybody, dive deeply into Carole's work. You can find Carole at cmdowning.com. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We're all about sharing and supporting this village. So if you found value in this episode, be sure to share it with your family and friends. And remember, this is a weekly show. So if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you'll be notified of our next episode. As we always say in the village, you're just one connection away. With love and gratitude, empower us. Until next time.